Yo, what's good everybody? Today we've got to talk about Red Hulk issue number 10, because this one is wild. Not only is it packed with action, it's also the final issue of the Red Hulk series. In this issue, General Ross leads a covert strike team straight into Latveria, right as Doom's empire starts to crumble. And with Project Alpha threatening global stability, this mission isn't just about saving the world, it's personal. Alright, so let's set the stage. We're deep in the forest of Latveria, right? And we got Ross rolling with his squad, Deathlock, Machine Man, and Wildstrike. These four are emerging from the tree line and Ross is in this bag mentally. He's thinking about how sometimes you got the full military backing you up. Tanks, fighter jets, the whole nine. And other times you're basically a starved, barefoot prisoner of war whose only weapon is your fist and your will to fight. And this is where Ross's character really shines through, because he's telling himself that your strategy might shift depending on what you got, but your courage, that can't waver, not even a little bit. He's looking at this ragtag team of four and he's like, we got an army's worth of guts on our side, and Doom must fall. Now straight ahead, there's this mountain looming over everything, and it's got Dr. Doom's face carved into it. Like this dude really said, you know what, my face needs to be in a whole mountain. The ego on this man is just astronomical, but that's Doom for you. Everything's gotta be extra. So Ross breaks the silence and he's like, Machine Man. And Machine Man, being the robot he is, immediately responds all professional like, yes, General Ross. Ross tells him they're at the tree line and they got a lot of open ground to cover, which means they're sitting ducks if they don't get some cover. And Ross is like, you promised me clouds. Machine Man starts checking his readings, doing his whole tech thing, and he confirms that Doppler, radar, and satellite scans are showing a pressure shift coming in. Heavy rains expected. We're talking 2 inches over the next hour. And then Machine Man, in the most robotic way possible, asks if this will please Ross. And Ross grins and says, oh, I'm pleased as punch. Then he turns to Deathlock and Wildstrike. How about you two? And Deathlock, this man just groans and goes, F me, this is gonna be miserable. Wildstrike's just nodding like, yeah, what he said. And I'm just sitting here thinking these are the realest reactions ever, because nobody actually wants to be trudging through heavy rain in enemy territory, right? But they're soldiers, so they're gonna do it anyway. Ross gets serious real quick and lays out the situation. He tells them the feeds are saying Doom's empire is crumbling, and if they pull this mission off, they're not just doing right by the world, they're clearing their names. Because let's not forget, Ross and his crew, they're basically operating in the shadows right now. They're not exactly heroes in everybody's eyes at the moment. He explains that they know this mountainside is hollowed out, wired up, and fortified like crazy. It's the perfect spot for Ryker to keep working on Project Alpha, which if you've been keeping up with this run, you know that Project Alpha is sketchy as hell. We're talking about creating an army of Red Hulk mutants, which is just all types of bad news. Ross gives the order, disperse and stagger your approach. The rain and the dark will mess with their surveillance. And here's the thing, Ross knows they were expecting them on the train, so he's assuming they know they're coming now too. But he's gonna stay small and sneaky until it's time to get big and loud. Classic Ross strategy right there. He tells everybody to stay in touch over comms if they need help, and they'll rendezvous to the eye of Mount Doom. So the team splits up, Wildstrike's moving swiftly through the forest, closing in on that rendezvous point, and everything seems to be going smoothly until it's not. Out of nowhere, this massive mutated Red Hulk just bursts from the shadows and snatches her right off her feet. Meanwhile, Machine Man is scaling the rocky slope of the mountain, doing his thing, and his sensors start pinging with unease. That's never a good sign, right? Next thing you know, a hulking red shape lunges at him from above. Meanwhile, Deathlock is walking and hears something. He raises his arm and just unleashes a barrage of gunfire at these mutated Red Hulks. We're talking full automatic, no hesitation. The dude said, I don't think so, and started blasting, but the Red Hulks eventually get him too. The sharp crack of gunfire echoes through the whole valley, and Ross hears it. He freezes and mutters, that wasn't thunder. He taps his comms immediately. Wildstrike, Machine Man, Deathlock, do you copy? And all he gets is static. The comms are jammed. Ross growls, jammers, it's on me then. And right there, you can feel the weight of command settling on his shoulders. His whole team is compromised, communications are down, and he's gotta figure out this solo. This is what separates Ross from a lot of other heroes. He doesn't panic, he just adapts. So what does this absolute madman do? He starts climbing the colossal carving of Doom's face that's etched into the mountainside. Like, picture this. You got this massive stone face of Dr. Doom, and Ross is literally scaling it to get to the eye so he can slip inside. The visual alone is just incredible. He reaches the eye and slides through. And that's when a voice greets him from the shadows. It's calm, it's mocking, and whoever it is immediately starts talking trash. The voice says, "You always do things the hard way, don't you, Ross? Just like you could have bent the knee to Doom." Imagine the power he would have given you. Not just general of the failing country, but general of the world. The voice steps into view, and it's Ryker. Now, if you don't know who Ryker is, this dude has been a thorn in Ross's side for a minute now. He's the one behind Project Alpha, and he's got this whole complex about wanting to be Red Hulk himself. There's like this weird jealousy and obsession going on. Ryker sneers at Ross and tells him, "You don't deserve to be Red Hulk. That's why I'm going to decommission you and build an army from your DNA," which is just diabolical. This man literally wants to take Ross apart and use him as raw material for an army. Then Ryker delivers the ultimatum: "Now put the gun down or your friends die." Behind him, there's a whole squad of Red Hulk mutants restraining Wildstrike, Deathlock, and Machine Man. These mutants are holding Ross's team hostage, and Ryker thinks he's got all the leverage. He thinks Ross is gonna fold, but Ross, this man doesn't even flinch. He raises his weapon, just fires, hitting Ryker square in the chest. No hesitation, no negotiation, just bang. And then Ross steps forward and delivers one of the coldest lines in this whole issue. He says, "You think we're the same? I don't need to turn into a monster to prove I'm a big man. And I sure as hell don't need to suckle at the teat of a dictator to get a taste of power." Ross is basically telling Ryker that everything about him is pathetic. His need for power, his submission to Doom, all of it. Then Ross turns to the mutants and says, "You hear that? This man isn't worth your spit." He levels his gaze back at Ryker and gives him one last chance. "Release the hostages, retreat, and you won't see what happens when I get angry." But Ryker's too far gone, too arrogant, too caught up in his own hype. Both men begin to transform. Ross into Red Hulk, and Ryker into the snarling, feral thing called Werewolf. As Ross transforms, his internal monologue hits us with some real truth. He's thinking about how what's true of every man is true of every country, that violence is power, and there's no sense denying it, not when nightmares like him exist. And listen, this is a heavy statement right here. Ross isn't trying to be philosophical or poetic, he's just stating facts. In a world where beings like the Hulk exist, where you got gods walking around, where entire countries can be conquered in a day, violence is power. It's not pretty, it's not nice, but it's real. The two titans collide, and this fight is absolutely brutal. Werewolf lunges first, claws slashing, fangs tearing into Red Hulk's flesh. We're talking savage, animalistic combat. But Red Hulk roars back and retaliates with a thunderous punch that probably registered on the seismographs across Europe. He grabs Werewolf's arm, and bro, he just rips it clean off. Like, just tears it right off the body. No technique, no finesse, just raw strength. But Ross isn't done. With brutal finality, he seizes Werewolf's jaw, one hand on the upper jaw, one on the lower, and he tears them apart. He literally rips this dude's jaw off. Werewolf collapses, broken and defeated, and the mountain falls silent. The fight is over just like that. Now here's where things get interesting from a character perspective. The mutated Red Hulks that were holding the team hostage, they just released Wildstrike, Deathlock, and Machine Man. They step back without any resistance, and Wildstrike is confused. She asks, "Why are they leaving?" Deathlock shrugs and says, "Because they got no dog in this fight. Latveria ain't their country." And that right there tells everything about what Ross just did. By defeating Ryker and Werewolf, by proving his dominance, Ross essentially freed these mutants from whoever was controlling them. They don't have loyalty to Latveria. They don't have loyalty to Ryker. They were just following orders. Now that the chain of command is broken, they're out. Red Hulk strides towards the group, his massive frame still radiating heat from the fight, and he asks, "Everyone in fighting shape? Because this isn't over." Deathlock says, "Yeah boss, ready to rock." Machine Man confirms he's at full power, but then Wildstrike hesitates and speaks up. "Red Hulk, General Ross, permission to speak freely." Ross doesn't break stride. He just says, after I do what I said I'd do. And you can tell by his tone that he's got something planned, something specific in mind that he's been fixated on this whole time. Wildstrike presses him. That's what I want to talk to you about. We've won. Let's not. But Ross cuts her off immediately. Give it to me, he snaps. Now Wildstrike stands her ground, and I gotta give her credit here, because it takes guts to challenge Ross when he's in this mode. She tells him, you listened to me for one damn second. We followed you. We've had your back. But there's a line, and you're about to cross it. Ross's eyes are blazing, and he says, hand it over. That's an order. But Wildstrike doesn't flinch. She tells him straight up, if you do this, you're not beating Doom. You're making the same mistake he did. You can't rule the world. You plant that flag, and this place becomes a war zone. Americans, Latverian loyalists, Latverian freedom fighters, and that's just the beginning. Everyone will want a peace. Respectfully, sir, think about it. And here's the thing, Wildstrike is absolutely right. She's spitting facts, because historically, anytime a country tries to claim territory like this, it becomes a mess. It becomes Vietnam. It becomes Afghanistan. It becomes any number of conflict where good intentions turned into quagmires. She reaches into her backpack and pulls out an American flag, handing it to Ross. Deathlock watches this exchange and adds, maybe she's got a point, boss. Machine Man, being the computer he is, runs the numbers and says, I am running several thousand predictive algorithms, and what Wildstrike says has a 93% chance of coming to pass. So even the robot is telling him this is a bad idea. But Ross doesn't respond. He just grips that flag tightly and leaps into the open air, and as he flies towards the summit, his internal thoughts echo, I said I wouldn't rest until the American flag flew over Latveria. I've made good on that promise. Damn the consequences. I'm ready to claim the country, or reduce it to rubble. I'm ready for the war to come. And that's where you see the complexity of Thunderbolt Ross as a character. He's not a villain, but he's not exactly a traditional hero either. He's a soldier who made a promise, and he's gonna keep it regardless of whether it's a smart play or not. He's operating on principle, on patriotism, on this code he's built his whole life around. Whether that makes him right or wrong is kinda up for debate. Red Hulk lands on the jagged peak of the mountain, and with the wind howling and the storm brewing around him, he plants the American flag into the stone. And that's where this issue ends, with Ross standing on top of Latveria, flag waving, ready for whatever comes next. Now let's talk about what this means for the bigger picture, because this is huge. Doom's empire is crumbling, right? We know that from the beginning of the issue. But what Ross just did, this could either be the thing that finally breaks Doom's hold on Latveria, or it could be the spark that ignites an even bigger conflict. Because Wildstrike was right, everybody's gonna want a peace now. You're gonna have American forces trying to establish control, Latverian loyalists trying to restore Doom or maintain the status quo, freedom fighters trying to establish their own government, and who knows what other international players are gonna try to swoop in and claim territory. It's gonna be messy, and Ross knows it. He just doesn't care because to him, the mission was clear. Take down Doom's operation in Latveria and plant that flag. Mission accomplished. But here's what I think is really interesting from a storytelling perspective. Benjamin Percy is setting up Ross as this tragic figure in a way, because Ross is doing what he genuinely believes is right. He's operating off of a lifetime of military service, of protecting America, of following orders and completing missions. But the world has changed, and the old ways of thinking don't always apply anymore. You can't just plant a flag somewhere and claim it like it's the 1800s. There are consequences. There are political ramifications. There are human costs, and I think that's what makes this issue so compelling. It's not just about the action, though that fight with Warwolf was absolutely insane. It's about watching a character make a choice that you know is gonna come back to haunt him. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. You can see what's coming, but you can't stop it. The artwork in this issue deserves some love too. The way they drew Ross climbing Doom's face on the mountain, that panel is just chef's kiss. And the fight between Red Hulk and Warwolf was visceral and brutal in all the right ways. You could feel the weight behind every punch, every slash, every impact. Also, can we talk about how Ryker got bodied? Like this man really thought he was about to cook with this Warwolf transformation, and his little speech about building an army, and Ross just shut him down in the most disrespectful way possible. First he shoots him, then he tears his arm off, then he rips his jaw apart. That's just overkill, and Ross knew it, but that's the message he's sending. Don't mess with me. don't mess with my team, and definitely don't try to steal my DNA to make bootleg versions of me. So yeah, Red Hulk issue 10 is a banger. We got action, we got character development, we got political intrigue, we got the flag planting moment. Benjamin Percy is cooking with this run. Red Hulk has honestly been one of the best parts of One World Under Doom event, and I'm sad to see this series get cut short and come to an end. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to drop a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what you think about Ross's decision to plant that flag. Do you think he made the right call? Do you think he's about to start a war he can't win? And most importantly, what you thought of this series as a whole. Let me know, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Thank you everyone who stuck around to finish this series. I hope to make many more videos on stories that you like. But that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.